All right. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad you were able to make it tonight. It means a lot to us to have your support as we continue to grow this work and build our network together. So, this year's theme, Bridges of Change, is really about the bridges we build within ourselves, with each other, and with the places that shape us. And for many of us, the Amazon has been that place, a space that has captured our hearts and continues to ground us in resilience and purpose. These bridges, they're more than just ideas, they're choices. Choices to value awareness, education, conservation, and community action. And each bridge makes us stronger together. Last year, we introduced you to our expanded board and invited you into new working groups. This year feels even more special as we get to share how far our Morpho has come, and even more importantly, you'll get to hear directly from educators who have walked the forest trails with us over the last 11 years. And with that, I'll turn it over to Krista, who will introduce the board members who help guide this work.
Thank you, Ro. Hi, everybody. I'm just absolutely delighted to pass this on over to Ro and Amanda tonight as co-hosts. But I did want to introduce you or reintroduce you to the folks behind the scenes. I'm just so grateful for this amazing group of women who said yes when I asked them to accompany me on this crazy journey. Some of you know Frances Getz founded these workshops way back in the 90s. And when she turned it over to me in 2013, when we launched the Educator Academy, it quickly became evident a few years in that we really needed to turn this into a nonprofit. And so myself, Nancy Troutman, and Kelly Keena are the founding board members. Nancy is currently in Germany, so she's asleep. And Kelly has a very big job with UL and is on the road, so they can't be with us tonight. But they were the ones that really helped get this thing off the ground and form the foundation. And then last year, we expanded our board to include Ro Ruiz, who did not introduce herself. She's our board president, and she was so grateful for her co-leadership of this organization with me. Amanda Rowland, she joined us as a participant in 2013. She's now on our board. And these two are joined by Kirsten Franklin, who's an alumni of the program, Dr. Katie Filan, Dr. Lindsay Swerk, and of course, Amanda as well, who I already mentioned. So this, just so grateful for these women. They answered the call, they picked up buckets of work. They've helped Morpho quite literally metamorphosize. Is that a word? I think if it's not, it needs to be, into the organization that we are right now. And they are the lighting and guiding force that's going to take us into the future. So thank you, Ro and Amanda, and I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Krista. So tonight we're going to have a lot of engaging opportunities to just talk through, as Ro mentioned, building those bridges. And so one of the activities we wanted to do was to share the screen and talk about, what does it mean to be a board member? So I'm going to share right now. And so throughout tonight, I'm going to be tracking the chat. We're also going to be asking folks to participate in some breakout rooms. And so the goal really is to hear from alumni, but also participants that are excited to engage. So the first thing that we would want is for you folks to, what is one word you think of when you hear the word board member? So you can use the QR code. You should be able to see it on your screen. And so we want folks to use that QR code. You can also join up on top of the screen. You should see the Menti, MENTI.com, and use the code. So what do you think of when you hear that word board member? So just going to pause here, see if folks are able to use that. Perfect. All right, Krista and Ro, we see some words coming in. Pretty incredible. So again, throughout the night, I'm going to be trying to run behind the scenes and watch in the chat. We're going to have a lot of breakout rooms, but really, we're a volunteer board and we're so excited to spend tonight with you. So as we think about the commitment that we've provided to the Amazon, but also to our folks here online, we also want to just thank Krista and Ro for their time leading us through as the board chair, but also the executive director of Morpho Institute. And we really want to thank you folks here for being the supporters and visionaries that are helping us to get to that next step. So with that, Ro, I'm gonna change the slides and I'm gonna stop sharing, but pretty fun words that we see on the screen. So appreciate everybody being willing to do that activity. Back to you, Ro.
Okay, oh, I was just waiting for the slide. That's cool. So we've gotten a feel for our theme, Bridges of Change. Right here, you can see our trajectory for this evening. And now it's time to see it come alive. So today we're going to hear from educators who have journeyed with us in the Amazon and share some powerful stories of transformation, connection, and resilience. So let's jump right in. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Kim Broman at National Geographic, and I apologize, I don't know this word, Grosvenor teacher fellow who teaches second grade. She's going to be sharing her Morpho journey through the lens of how it shaped the way she sees her work and the world. And then she's going to share a land acknowledgement with us. Kim, take it away.
Kim, I think you're muted. I can't hear you.
Hear me now?
Oh, I hear it.
Yes. Okay. I just had to change the input. So, okay. Sorry, I kind of lost my beginning, but so one of the things that impacted me the most, well, at least in the beginning, was when Rose shared her land acknowledgement, because we, as a school district, we had been working on our own land acknowledgement for actually the last 2 years we've been working on it. We still don't have a final land acknowledgement. But when she shared her land acknowledgement, something that stood out to me was when she said, I'm grateful. So I honor, she was talking about the Taipuna, and she talked about them being traditional stewards of the land. And she said, I'm grateful to humbly join them in continued stewardship, and I invite you to join with me. And I had felt like when we were working on ours, it didn't feel like it felt like I was doing something to someone instead of partnering with them. And so that piece of it is something that was a beginning for me, is how do I partner with the Indigenous people that live right in my same community. And so visiting the Maihuna was something that was, and I'm going to get emotional because it was something very meaningful to me, because they were so open. And when I first thought of visiting the Amazon, the Amazon is this great place that's far away from me, that is it's an amazing home to the diversity on the planet. And I had heard about deforestation and some of the things that were going on, but it still was something far away. And so visiting the Amazon and meeting the Maihuna, it changed something forever in me, because I'll never be able to think of the Amazon in the same way again, because of the work that I know that they're doing. Even though I can't see it every day, I know that there are people living off the land, fishing for their breakfast, harvesting the yucca, taking care of bees. And what can I do in my world that helps to to build a connection, even though I'm far away. And so I have been thinking a lot about how I can do that in my own community by partnering with people from the Fond du Lac Reservation. And so my own land acknowledgement, which is like a work in progress. It might take me a while before I actually am able to really have it represent everything that I want it to represent. But this is where it is right now. I live in Minnesota, home to the Dakota and Anishinaabe people. I honor their relationship and connection to the rivers, lakes, and land in our state. I respect their desire to protect the water and the land in historically successful stewardship. And then as a teacher, I this is not usually in land acknowledgements, but I'm thinking about how I represent the students in my class and the voice and their families in my world. Like, how can I bring that into my room? So through my teaching, I will include Anishinaabe perspectives and voice when students learn about wildlife, water protection, and our land use. And I'm really working right now to try to build connections with the land resource management people. I met some of them in the summer right before the school year started, and I met someone who knows about she's done a lot of research on the fires that help restore the understory. And we actually, in Wisconsin, right across the bridge from where I am, they did the first fire burning that was permitted by law to restore the understory along Wisconsin Point. So that has been something that's been being worked on for years. So that's exciting. And she's going to come and talk with my class, but not until the end of the semester. So anyhow, I'm really working to try to bring that voice into my room and what I'm doing in the classroom, along with bees and butterflies and other things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kim. It's such a powerful story and really a clear example of how learning transforms us. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness as you move towards completing your land acknowledgement. That was moving. Thank you. And now to dive even deeper into our transformational learning piece, I'm excited to pass this over to Krista.
So Amanda and Ro asked me to do a little reflection and just build a little context around the Educator Academy and kind of how we got from 2013 to where we are now. And if I reflect back on my own experience, I came to the Amazon in 93 as a very young middle school science teacher, and I came very specifically for the biodiversity. A little bit like Kim, what you were reflecting on. Like, I had in my mind what I was going to get out of that experience. And I definitely went down there with this mindset that if you put a fence around it, and that's how you protect it, you keep the people out of it. They were just not part of my thinking or part of my understanding of how conservation should work, let alone the role of education and all of that. Obviously, for those of you that know me, my mindset has been transformed. And that has largely been by the place and its people. Yes, I still come for the biodiversity, but the people and the work that we get to collaborate with is making all the difference. So, because I went there as a science educator, I knew how to build a program that would talk about what I would call somewhat superficial things like the ecology and the biodiversity, the fact-based parts of that. That was easy for me. And it was easy for the original team and faculty that we were building this program that was about the ecology of the Amazon and inquiry. Knew how to do that. And I think we nailed it. What we didn't plan on was this personal transformation that very quickly became apparent. We had not planned for that, inserted that, been intentional about making that happen in the field. But we saw it, we knew it was important. And with Kelly Keena's leadership, she has a background in environmental education assessment. She did a retrospective of the first 3 years of the Educator Academy. And what she found really changed how we think and talk about our work and also how we design the programs that we offer. We now recognize that putting teachers into a wildly different and unfamiliar world literally unlocks pathways of learning that they didn't know were blocked or hadn't accessed in years. And getting to watch that happen is absolutely amazing. Yes, this is the opposite of how we are taught as educators to build meaning with our students. We know, and David Sobel argues that you shouldn't ask kids to save the rainforest when they don't even understand what's worth saving in their own backyards. We build meaning with students from the local to the global. But what we have found through this assessment and through these programs and just bearing witness in the field is that adults, and in this case teachers, when you drop them into these wildly unfamiliar places, it's exactly what's needed for new learning and growth to occur. And this is where that personal transformation happens, and it's magic. And you're going to hear from other alumni of these programs that are going to reflect on all of these things, and I'm excited to hear what they have to say. I'll just close this little bit by saying that I still go for the biodiversity. That is my jam. But my most favorite moments, and when people ask me, what's your best memory of the Amazon? It's not the biodiversity. It's when I have the privilege of watching all of you lean across the table under a thatched roof with questionable lighting and watch you connect with your colleagues as professionals and watch you re-engage with your authentic teacher self and reconnect those lost passions or discover new ones, and watching you do that with like-minded peers, professional peers. That's the stuff. And for me, that's what the transformation of these programs is really. I think we all come for the biodiversity on some level, and we leave with so much more. So I'll pass the baton back and can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say.
Thanks, Krista. So right now, what we want to do is think about this question. What is your connection to Morpho? And what is your connection to the work that Morpho Institute does? And just think about that question. So you as an individual, Cynthia, Wendy, Octay, Teresa, you all that are here in this space with us, think about that connection to Morpho and that work. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take folks into breakout rooms at this point. And so our goal within these breakout rooms is that everybody will be able to share, have an opportunity to share like what this question means to you. And then at the same time, we'll be able to kind of jump from room to room and see how folks are doing. So with that, I'm going to assign you all to breakout rooms. We're going to have about 5 minutes. So hopefully that'll give a minute for everybody to share. And then I'm going to pull you all back and then we'll do a little debrief. So thank you. See you soon. I just want to say thank you to everybody for participating in that. It was really powerful to hear, going into the different rooms and hearing what folks are talking about, whether it was research and studies or whether it was just how folks got to know each other. Krista, I was really proud to report that there was no stories of my bad dancing or my terrible jokes that I heard of how people connected. So that made me feel better. But I do really just appreciate the in-depth conversations and that transformational learning when we talk about what Krista had mentioned and how we get to these spaces and places. It really is about the larger conversation of truly building those connections and belonging and investing time with the people. You all had the opportunity to connect in those small breakout rooms. And what we're going to do now is have an opportunity to have an alumni panel. So Ro, I'm going to hand it over to you as you're walking across the bridge in this slide. I'm going to walk it across to you for the next opportunity for the panel.
Sorry, I'm talking and it's muted. So yeah, up there on the bridge, one of my favorite places to be. First, I just want to say thank you all for sharing your own connections. I appreciate the different perspectives, and it really helps me ground myself and know that there's others that are having, these wonderful connections as well. So we want to build on this by hearing from some of our alumni and how their stories bring this theme of bridges of change to life. And really kind of showing how just one experience can kind of ripple out into new insights and new connections, and I really felt that in our room. I hope you guys made some connections as well. I would like to go ahead and introduce our first speaker of the panel. Actually, our second, I apologize. Kim was first. Dr. Latasha Wright, co-founder and Executive Scientific Officer of BioBus in New York City. She brings science to life for K through 12 students, and today she's going to share on her standout moment from her Morpho journey. Latasha.
Hi everyone. Thanks so much. As you can see, that's a big cheese. I didn't can see all my teeth. I think what everybody said today has been correct. Definitely, when I decided to go on this journey to the Amazon, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna see all." I'm like, "Ooh, can I see a jaguar?" Or I'm like trying to think about all of the wonderful things I'm gonna see. But really, it was the people that I was there with, and the connections that we were able to generate. So I knew going in that I was scared of heights. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And so like the first day that we go there, we go to the suspension bridges, and Sandy was like, oh, anybody who needs help, I can help them. And I was like, oh, I need help. And I was so terrified by crossing these bridges. Like the 3/4 of the way there, I started talking to her. I was like, I think I'm going to start crying now. She was like, just cry. It's fine. And I was like, okay. And I like started crying. And then once I got to the app, I don't know where you could get off the bridge. She just hugged me and she just was like, are you okay? I'm so proud of you. And it was this moment of like feeling of accomplishment and light. And even though I was terrified, I felt so supported. And there's not many times when you're an adult that you're actually terrified. And I felt like this allowed me to see that support can help you to get past these moments. Um, and then I ended up doing the whole thing, which was like, I didn't, obviously only because I was supported so much. And the thing that stood out to me was like, everybody was so supportive and nobody was like, oh, it's not that scary. Nobody was like, oh, nobody was dismissive. I felt like in a warm hug the whole time. And then the second time, so then the next day, it was like 6 in the morning and we were like going bird watching and they were like, you're here. And everybody was, oh, yay. I felt so, like they was like, oh, yay, you're coming. I was like, yeah, I'm coming, And so then we went, and this is both Sandy and Amanda. We actually went to the second Outlook, and we were there, and it was a beautiful morning, and you can see the sun coming up, and we actually saw all these amazing birds. So another thing is like you can just go to the limit. You don't have to go as far as everybody else, but you can do your own space because we only went to the second platform, which is, in case you don't know, there's 14. I've only to go to the second one. But we saw these amazing birds. We saw like 3 different types of toucans. We saw these birds of paradise. It was just an amazing day. And now I'm a birder. And I'm like, now I feel so. And also, it's changed the way that I feel like I face adversity because I used to always be like, you can do it and don't be a pussy, kind of deal. But now I'm like, oh, support is a better way to really be able to give people empathy and love, and people can really go past and be more than they ever thought they could be. Sorry, I don't know, that was longer than 2 minutes, but anyway, I really loved it. It was great and transformative.
Thank you so much, Natasha, for sharing such a powerful moment from your journey. I think some of us can actually relate to that, so appreciate it. Up next is David Watson, Dean of School at Golden Charter Academy in Fresno, and he's going to share about how his Morpho experience has helped shape the way he sees his work and the world around him.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right. How we doing, everyone?
Good.
Good. I'm sorry. I'm like major multitasking right now. We have a board meeting going on, but I know I'm at my 2 minutes. First off, man, it's good to see so many of you that helped me enjoy this first experience in the Amazon. It's really the first time I've ever traveled that deep outside the country. But I really chose this pig for a reason. There's a backstory behind it, but I've never been on a canopy before, and I walking on that, and I had some pretty big feet, size 14 in those rubber boots. So I'm like tripping, left and right. And it's not like that thing is real wide. But one thing I will tell you is just an incredible experience. Um, I never had Peruvian food before, which once you have that food, you don't have a choice but to keep coming back because it was just incredible. Um, but when I think about work around the world, I think about myself and my scholars and how to get them out of certain spaces. When I was in school, I never really had access to anything. I'm gonna do this now. I'll wait for the next one. Thank you. I never really had access to anything, and so it's something that was brand new for me. Um, so I get out there and I was just surprised. I expected something completely different. D-Roll did a very good job of telling us, what to expect. But I also know D-Roll likes to crack some jokes. So I was kind of like, is she serious? Is this, when it's, it's one of those things. But I'm gonna tell you this. Here's the best way I could explain it. Um, when you grow up in the middle of South Sacramento in Oak Park, where poverty level is high, and you've never really been to Sac State until you're in high school. You've never really been to the ocean. Never really been to, didn't go to Disneyland until I was 18 years old. So my access is very limited. So to be able to come to a place and really see for myself, like what the Amazon rainforest really looks like, um, and to go to a space where usually you don't see people like me, and when I say that, I mean people that look like me. So that just kind of lets you know as far as the access goes. Um, but on this particular trip right here, on this canopy, that was a big milestone because number one, I don't like heights. And you're kind of going with the flow and you feel comfortable because people around you are walking and whatnot. So I was walking pretty slow, but in this particular picture right here, I remember Percy was one of our guides, and all of a sudden I'm on this and I hear these monkeys. Then and the noise is getting louder and louder and louder. And Percy like, my friend, shh, wait right there, my friend. That is the TT monkey. And I'm like, Percy, man, they're getting close, man. He's like, sit still, sit still. Nah, dude, they're getting close, man. And it just was one of those fun experiences where I trusted what he said. Just met this guy, just met him, so that instant trust was there, and I think about my scholars not having access. I don't want them to be like me. I want them to be able to enjoy things. I want them to be able to understand, like, just because you may not look like other individuals who travel and go to all these different places doesn't mean that you can never do it. I was waiting till I was 51 years old to take a trip like this, and it makes no sense to really be that age taking a trip like this when money was not an issue. It was just access. It was just, what do I do? So I really want to thank the organization, really want to thank D-Row for helping me, just take that milestone and really focus on what's important to me. And it's really about getting scholars, getting individuals that are a lot younger than me, putting them in a position to where they can look at the world differently than I do, and placing them in a position to where they don't have to say, hey, I waited till I was 50 years old to take a trip like this. And this is, like I said, I'm looking forward to future trips. It's not even a question for me. Definitely want to come back. Definitely enjoyed it. And I know my 2 minutes is up. I just really want to thank y'all, and I'll definitely be seeing y'all again. I wish I could see you in person, but just thank you for a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Thank you so much, David. Really appreciate the share. And if it makes you feel any better, I was older than you the first time I went to the Amazon. So now we're going to hear from Octay, and he's the assistant principal of academics STEM at Horizon Science Academy in Ohio. And he's going to talk about the personal strengths and passions that this experience helped him discover.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. I also picked this picture because this is summarized what I have get out of this program. This picture showed me that I need to be in a humility mode. I need to know whatever you see on the top, there are more at the bottom, right? it's like an iceberg. It's a superficial on the top. You see all these trees, everything looks same, but underneath there's the world that is been waiting for you, right? When I get there, I was like, I know I'm an expert in science. I know I'm an expert in global education because I'm coming from the global reach environment in the geography. So a lot of things. I'm an expert in that, expert in that. But when I'm in that moment, in that environment, it crushed me. All the things that I see crushed me in a way that, nope, you don't know anything about. Especially coming to the Sukasari, a local, a cultural humility also struck me. You know, in a world we have a cultural collisions where superiority, this culture is better than this, and but you say, well, what extent, right? I learned so much from the people who are the local that have nothing to do what I have gone through education, but know better than what I know, right? So these are the things that I really wanted to instill my school community, because the learning as an educator, all of us in an educator, right? How we're going to teach all these learning ways to our community if those are the things that are not exist, because we know if there's no humility in being a scientist, what's going to happen, or if we don't have that cultural humility, what's going to happen to the world. So I think I'm going to finish up with this. One of the presentations that I heard about is about discovery. When the people who come to that environment and say, we discovered this. Well, you did not. People already been known about this plant, this animal. You can only say describe. In your perspective, it's discovery, but those are the people who've been in that environment know that creatures exist, right? So this is, I think, this is something that I'm also bringing to my community, as well as a very, in a mindset shift, in an environment that we say, well, we're going to learn all of this, but there are people who knows, go and find them. And I think this is something that is stick with me forever, and I'm going to be way stronger as a STEM educator, I guess. Well, thank you. Thank you. Good to see you all again. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, Octay. I really appreciate you sharing those insights. I think we can all relate to that. So next, we're going to hear from Sandy Ellsbury, middle school teacher and teacher lead from Lee's Summit, Missouri. She's going to share one lesson from this journey that she would want others to take with them. It's a very familiar picture, by the way.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. You're right. I giggled when I saw the other one. Maybe it was the same one I sent in. So I actually teach elementary school. So I teach 1st through 5th graders in science. And my journey with the Amazon actually began back in 2000 when I took my youngest daughter on a school trip to the Amazon and wasn't really sure what I was going to get myself into. Learned a lot, saw a lot, but definitely connected with the people that were there and the environment. And so I continued to go for years and did student groups. And then I missed a few years around COVID, and I learned more about Morpho and made my first trip with the Morpho group 2 years ago, I believe. And just kind of sat back and watched what people did. Last year, I will say my personality really popped out. And one of the things that I came back with and wrote multiple times in my journal was about connections. So when I was asked to do this, I was like, that's my word, it's connections. And I've heard so many people say that word in their presentations tonight. My biggest goal as an elementary school I live in Lee Summit. It's outside of Kansas City, suburb. So I teach in Kansas City at a private school, and teaching sustainability and conservation to kids is, well, here's a recycling bin is that's their image of that. So my goal is, and this is my professional learning plan for at school this year, is to connect that into what I teach already. So what I've started doing is everything that I'm teaching, somehow I'm weaving in the rainforest into that so that they can connect, whether it's the same with my first graders and learning the weather of Missouri to what the weather happens in the rainforest and how the weather in the rainforest affects what happens in Missouri, the amount of rainfall, the water cycle that happens there when we're teaching, when learning that is how it happens differently there, and making those connections. It's very easy with animals because I think the sloth and the capybara are the favorites of all of the students that I teach. So it's the connections with people as well. I know people already mentioned the Maihuna tribe. That's another place for me that is a huge connection to the people living there and what they are enduring and what they are doing that actually affects us and how our life is. Latasha and Amanda were two people on this trip last summer. Latasha kind of told you the origin of this picture in the canopy. The canopy is one of my favorite places to be. And I always go into it with people that haven't been there before, that I don't want anybody to miss it. Because if you don't go up, you don't see what it's like. You guys have all been up there, so you know what it looks like. And I wouldn't want anyone to miss that. So that was one of my first things with Krista, was like, I want to go, I want to be there. I want to be able to help someone who can't make it across, go across so that they can see what the rest of us are seeing. So I don't even know how to wrap it up. I'm looking forward to making more connections with people this next summer back in the Amazon. So I'll pass it back to you, Ro.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing part of your story, Sandy. Really appreciate that. Your word connection really resonates with me as well. All right. So next up, we've got Terry Wilson. She's a TK through 5 inquiry specialist from the East Hartford Magnet School in Connecticut. And she's going to share a bit about how the Morpho experience has helped her see herself as part of a bigger story.
Hi, everybody. Boy, I'm so thrilled to see all new faces as well as my familiar faces. A little bit of background, I've actually been down to this experience of Morpho 4 times, and I am dearly missing it and hoping to be back this summer. When Ro asked me to present and to share a picture, I had oodles to go through, and I had a really hard time choosing. But when I saw the kids here at the Maihuna landing area, I said that this is it, because for me, again, we hear that story about connection, and the connections made with not only the participants of the Morpho Institute, but the participants and the experiences with the indigenous people, the Maihuna, is just, too unforgettable, to say the least. But getting back to the gist of this question, stewardship is the word that came to mind for me when I saw this question. Stewardship, not only of the earth, but specifically the Amazon, because it is the heart of the earth. When I think of the Amazon, I think of the story of the Great Kapok Tree by Lynn Cherry. And the Amazon isn't just a home for the indigenous people like the Maihuna or all the unique living organisms, the biodiversity, but it's also integral to the survival of us on this planet, as it serves as our carbon sponge, the indicator of climate health, the climate stabilizer. When a few years ago, when One Planet's documentary came out on the story of the Maihuna and what they were doing to protect their lands and their story and their history, I realized that the work of the Morpho Institute was the work of something bigger than myself on multiple levels. All the elements that the Morpho Amazon experience starting with the people of Morpho Institute, the Amazon experience, Conopac, EcoTeach, Explorama lodges, the amazing guides, and all the participants, for me, provided the impetus to participate in more and support more. So giving those monthly donations to the Morpho Institute really helped me get into be a part of that larger picture. But just as the animals explained the dependence of the tree to the man sleeping below it, it also explained the importance of the tree to the world. And the same can be said for me to the Amazon. It's just we're lost without it. And that's why I really focus in on being a participant and a supporter of the Morpho experience.
Thank you so much for your thoughts, Tara. I appreciate your story and how you tie things back to stewardship. It's really awesome.
Yep.
So now we'll hear from Julie Rivenbark, a teacher of the year and high school biology teacher from Virginia, and she'll share her thoughts on looking ahead and how this experience is shaping what she chooses to do next. Sorry.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Rose. Sorry, I'm in the car right now, so I'm sorry I'm not on camera with everybody else. But yeah, I am a high school biology teacher. This is my 6th year teaching. And I went to the Educator Academy last summer in 2024 for the first time. Had a great time, had a great experience, fell in love with Morpho, and knew I had to come back for AIRE the next summer. So I was in the AIRE group this past summer in 2025. And just being there and doing research was such a wonderful experience. Research is really where my heart lies. I have always, as a teacher, wanted to find a way to incorporate research into what I do, and always kind of struggled with that a little bit. And I really resonate with what Krista said earlier about how you go down and you expect to just fall in love with the biodiversity and the plants and animal life. But it's really the connections that you make when you're there that make the lasting impact. Because when I was there at AIRE, I really felt connected to that research world in a way that I've been craving and trying to find as an educator. So the first summer there, I was able to find opportunities to bring all of these wonderful things about conservation and indigenous practices and the Maihuna back to my students. But now looking forward, I am actively seeking out PhD opportunities thanks to some of the connections that Morpho has. And I'm really excited to have gone to AIRE and found these connections, but also that confidence in myself to know that I belong in the research world and I can do the hard thing and make it. So spoiler, but I had a great meeting last week with a potential advisor. We talked about project ideas and things that we would like to work on together in the future. So I'm just very grateful to Morpho for making those connections and finding people that are my people. And I hope to be working on frog research specifically in the future. So I'm just really grateful to everyone that's brought us together to make that happen. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie, for sharing your vision. And I'm really excited to hear when you finally land that next adventure. So keep me posted. So Dr. Ben Olson is actually unable to be with us tonight. He was actually recently appointed to the Educator Advisor Committee for Fun for Teachers. So tonight was their training and he had to be there. But I would love to share a little bit of his story with you. He sent me a few things that he just really wanted to share out. He teaches the extended learning program and serves as the K-12 tag department chair in Iowa. And he's also a Nat Geo certified educator. So his story is Ben actually has spent 2 summers with Morpho, just like Julie. And it was there where he was introduced to the Camera Trap project. And he actually even wrote a blog for MorphoNet. So if you're curious about that, check it out on the website. And in his article, he described how the awe of the rainforest inspired his understanding of the natural world and the need for conservation practices in order to protect these places. And what that did is it led him to start a camera trap project back in North Cedar, and he modeled it after what he learned in the Amazon. So what he wants to share is that the most powerful part wasn't the project itself, it was how the students took ownership of it. So one of the photos on the right shows him kind of leading students through the Amazon Camera Trap project, and they were watching the footage and discovering the different species that would show up on the camera. It was all very exciting. But what inspired him even more was the picture on the left is a sixth grader that was so excited and moved by the discoveries that they had made when she first did it, that she's actually now teaching kindergartners about the project. So kind of bringing that journey full circle. And so he was saying that both the Amazon project and the North Sea Camera Trap project work is going to continue this year, and he's hoping to grow it even more. So that's a little bit about Ben. I want to really just offer my gratitude and thank you all for sharing your stories, your insights, for opening up, these heartfelt moments. We really appreciate that. And I am going to hand it over to Krista to share a little bit more.
Awesome. Wow. It's always so lovely to get a chance to actually hear all of you reflect on the experiences that you've had. And it's amazing how this whole theme of bridges and connections sort of organically somehow came together, and all of the messaging is aligning. It must be some little morpho magic there. So Ro and Amanda asked me to step back in and just talk a little bit about this idea of building bridges through the lens of the partnerships that we cultivate. So one aspect that may not be very obvious on the outside is the intention that we put into living our core values. They really do serve as benchmarks for our decision making internally and externally, how we design programs, how we communicate. They help us align all of our priorities and make sure we stay on track. And so real quickly, those core values are inquiry and curiosity, wonder and awe, good science and best practices, collaboration and connection, inclusion and respect, and sustainability and stewardship. What I want to focus on though is the core value of collaboration and connection, which obviously ties in beautifully with this theme. I think this is something that really sets us apart when it comes to international PD programs. The bridges that we are building with our partners, we build them intentionally, and those collaborators are part of what makes our programming exceptional. It's part of what makes those experiences that you reflected on happen. We understood from the jump that we did not and could not do this work alone. Not only couldn't we do it alone, we didn't want to. We wanted to engage in deep, meaningful, long-lasting collaborations, sustainable collaborations with partners, whether they were in Peru or whether they're here in the United States, or even if they're on the international stage. We know we're stronger as an organization and our impact is greater because of these collaborations. So everybody from Explorama and EcoTeach, who take care of all of the travel and logistics so Morpho can do what Morpho does best and stay focused on programming, to people like Christy and Jess on all of our faculty who come with this exceptional knowledge and are such great educators and share that expert content with all of our programs, to our amazing international partners like Conapac. Megan McDaniel is an alumni of our program, and she's now the executive director of Conapac. To our Sukasari and Maihuna partners and the Whakanamai Federation, the Maihuna Federation, who help us meet our on-the-ground conservation goals. And even at the newest collaboration that I'm working on, in particular with World Wildlife Fund and the IUCN, I'm working on some projects that we're going to be releasing here in another month about how education needs to be harnessed to achieve the global biodiversity targets. And Morpho's at the table in those conversations, but we're at the table as a co-learner and a co-creator. We're not at the table as an organization that has all the answers or all the solutions. We are engaged in all of these partnerships through that lens of inquiry and learning. And there's two partners I want to focus on. I was going to focus on one, but I just want to step back just a moment and talk about our relationship with the Maihuna. That is a relationship that we went into knowing that we knew we had a responsibility to do that right. And we knew that we didn't know enough about how to do that right. And so we reached out and we started working with partners who had a lot of years and dedication in working and collaborating with the Maihuna. And we went into that as learners so that we could be sure that we were creating a long-lasting partnership that was beneficial to everybody. And that learning curve, I'll be honest, I'll go back to that biodiversity thing. That social science part of all of this, that's a very steep learning curve for me, but it's one that I have embraced with so much joy and wonder because it's what it's opened up for me as a human, as well as an educator and as well as a conservationist. So you see in these programs 2 or 3 days of workshops where you make connections and you see the fruit that has been born of these long-lasting relationships. We're back at the table again with the Maihuna right now. We're working on some new projects, supporting them in new and different ways, while at the same time continuing to work on the development of new workshops for teachers like you, as well as supporting their fight against the road. The other organization I'll just spotlight briefly because it kind of plays into the same thing. It's our new partnership with the Fundación Los Amigos de la Naturaleza. And you can see it right there. My Spanish still is horrible, but I try. So we affectionately call them FLAN. And FLAN is made up of Cesar and Percy, who most of you will know as our lead guides for the Educator Academy and now for ARI. And then with newcomer Garly. Garly's a woman. She's an unusual woman in that she's training and is full force going to be one of the first women guides in the Amazon. It's really rare. But FLAN is taking our binocular project and exploding the box that sat in. We are no longer just providing binoculars to Amazon teachers who we never had the opportunity to work with or engage with. We were a tool provider. With FLAN, we are now able to support community bird education workshops and even the new bird mural project that's happening in the Amazon. And that comes through our donors. They help make that happen. They give us the resources to be able to make those kinds of connections and support Cesar and Percy and Garly. The best part of this, though, is that because Cesar, Percy, and Garly are on our team as faculty, they're now able to share this work directly with participants. So it enriches our program, it enriches the experience for the teachers, it gives them an opportunity to tell their story. So these mutual benefits, all these bridges that are now crossing continents and programs and organizations, there's so much more. And so to Octave's point, there's so much more than what you see at the surface. These partnerships are just vital to what we do. And again, that's done with a lot of intention. And then finally, I will just end with spotlighting some of the best bridge builders I know, my wonderful Morpho board and all of our faculty. And I just want to take a minute to remind everybody that Morpho is still run all by volunteers, including me, like literally no paid full-time employees. Everything that you see and you experience has been run and created by volunteers. As you can imagine, it takes a lot of work to build bridges, design programs, manage partnerships, support alumni. So I'm just so grateful for this amazing board that I had the privilege to serve on, who are friends and colleagues, because they are what makes the magic happen. And frankly, I can't and do not want to do this work without them. So I'm going to pass it back to Ro and Amanda, and hats off to both of you for pulling this off so beautifully for Metamorphosis 2.0. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Krista. So we just wanted to say thank you. And why you? Why did we want to have this metamorphosis and why did we have this time with you? Krista mentioned there's a lot of great partnerships happening. Ro mentioned, we can't do this work without you all. And so we've had the opportunity as a board to facilitate conversations with individuals one-on-one, but we really wanted to step back and think about what if, you were able to share the stories that you shared today with an incredible donor. What if you think about, becoming that influencer to help other educators develop those opportunities in the Amazon? And so we really just wanted you to think about, you are not just a story. You are a network and literally a larger conversation to getting that next generation of educators to the Amazon. I think a lot of times it's overwhelming and we think about donations and it's a lot to take on, but we really wanted to ensure that you all knew that the reason why you're here and a part of this is because your compassion and the impact that not only has the Amazon made on you, but how you then in turn have had that impact on your students. When we started this conversation tonight, you know, Ro welcomed you and explained what we've been able to accomplish as a volunteer board. Krista also mentioned that as well. And then we had the benefit of Kim talking about the land acknowledgement. And when we think about hearing from you all, that's a lot different than us just standing here talking to you through Metamorphosis. So we want to say thank you, and we want to really make sure that you know we're all here because of you and because we're getting this work done together. So I dropped the donate now link into the chat. You can share that, send your experience to someone you know, reach out to Ro and Krista and I and the rest of the board if you have any questions or opportunities to help us continue to grow this. But we really, really appreciate you all and just wanted to say thanks for coming. And with that, you know, enjoy birding tomorrow or this weekend, or, you know, continue to be great. Ro, anything else you'd like to say, or Krista?
No, I just want to thank everybody for their time this evening. It was really great to see everybody's faces, and I wish we could just be together again.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We do this because we love you. It's a real privilege. We have an amazing network, and you all are a part of it, and just grateful for everybody taking their time tonight. It's a busy time of year. So onward. Be in touch. You know where to find us. We know where to find you, and you'll be hearing more from us. So thank you. And thank you again, Ro and Amanda. Great job, ladies.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.